I still remember the way her eyes lit up when I proposed. It wasn't just the ring or the moment, it was everything we had been through together, the quiet months of learning each other, of dreaming aloud, of silent support during bad days. Emily was my calming chaos, my safe place, the one person who made everything make sense. That night under the string lights at her favorite rooftop cafe, she said yes, with tears in her eyes and both hands trembling as she reached for me. It felt like the beginning of a new life. 2 weeks later, she brought up his name. We were in the kitchen, dancing lazily to old Coldplay songs while she stirred pasta and I poured wine. She mentioned, almost casually, that Daniel had texted her. I stopped mid-step. She noticed. He just wants closure, she said quickly, like rushing through the words would make them less sharp. Closure? I asked, trying not to sound threatened. She nodded. We were together for 3 years. We never really had a clean ending. He just wants to talk once. That's all. I trusted her. I told myself relationships don't work without trust. So I nodded and said, if you feel like it's something you need, go ahead. But inside, something twisted. She met him on a Saturday afternoon. She wore that soft peach dress, the one I loved. I didn't say anything when I noticed. She gave me a quick kiss on the cheek before leaving, her smile tight. I won't be long, she said. She was gone for 4 hours. I didn't text her once during that time. I stared at the clock, watched the hands crawl, made coffee I didn't drink. When she came back, she was quiet. Her hair was slightly messier than when she left, and her lipstick was gone. She said they talked, cried a little, and that it felt good to have finally closed the chapter. I wanted to believe her. I really did. The next morning, I saw the message. Her phone buzzed while she was in the shower. The screen lit up with a name I hadn't seen before but instantly recognized, Daniel. And the words beneath it? Last night was unforgettable. Thank you. For everything. I stared at the screen for a few seconds. Then a few minutes. My fingers felt frozen. My heart wasn't beating, it was thudding. It didn't make sense. She said it was just closure. Just words. What could possibly have been unforgettable? She walked out of the bathroom wrapped in a towel, her hair dripping. She saw the phone in my hand and paused. Why is he texting you that? I asked, my voice low. She looked at the screen and went pale. I don't know why he would say that, she whispered. Did something happen? I asked. No, she said quickly. Too quickly. I stared at her. Emily, don't lie to me. I'm not, she said, her voice rising. I told you, we just talked. He's twisting things. Then why didn't you block him after the closure you needed so badly? She didn't have an answer. The next few days were a blur. I barely slept. She avoided the topic like it was acid. I caught her deleting messages. I noticed her spending longer on her phone in the other room. My trust, the thing I had so confidently handed her, began to crack, piece by piece, until it shattered completely one night when I checked her phone again. More messages. Weeks worth. Flirty. Intimate. Full of inside jokes and half-hinted regrets. One said, I never stopped wondering what would have happened if we hadn't messed up. Another, you looked beautiful the other day. Just like before. She had replied to most of them. I didn't yell. I didn't throw anything. I just sat down on the couch and waited until she walked into the room. She saw my face and knew. She sat across from me, and I asked one question. Did you sleep with him? Her eyes welled with tears. "I made a mistake," she whispered. That was all I needed to hear. I packed a bag that night. I didn't say much, there wasn't much left to say. She cried, tried to hold my hand, said she didn't know why she did it, that it didn't mean anything, that it just happened. But all I could think about was the way she smiled when she came back that night, how I tried to see it as innocent when something inside me knew it wasn't. She said she was confused, that seeing Daniel brought up old feelings, that it all got too emotional and she lost control. But I couldn't process it. Not then. Not while the wound was still bleeding. I moved into a friend's spare bedroom the same night. The walls were bare, the mattress was stiff, and nothing smelled like home, because it wasn't. Home was with her. But I couldn't go back, not when the image of them together kept replaying like a sick movie in my head. The days blurred together. I went to work but barely spoke. I ate, but nothing tasted right. I scrolled through our old photos and hated every one of them for how happy we looked. I blocked her number, unblocked it, typed messages I never sent, and stared at the ceiling for hours wondering where it all broke apart. A week passed. Then 2. She showed up at my office on a Thursday. I was staying late, pretending to catch up on work, but really just avoiding my own thoughts. When I turned around and saw her standing there with red-rimmed eyes and a folder in her hand, my heart did something weird. Part of it leapt, and part of it sank. "I just want to talk," she said. I didn't respond. Just stared. She placed the folder on my desk and stepped back. "Read it. If you still want me to leave after, I will." Inside were printed screenshots. Dozens of them. Text messages. Call logs. Photos. A timeline. She documented everything. Every message Daniel sent. Every one she didn't reply to. His attempts to manipulate her. The night they met, she had recorded the conversation on her phone. The original message, "Last night was unforgettable," was taken out of context. He had said it sarcastically when she shut him down and left abruptly. "You're really walking out like that," he had said. "Last night was unforgettable. Thanks for nothing, Emily." She hadn't cheated. She hadn't lied, not really. She had just panicked. She said she felt guilty for even meeting him and thought I'd never believe her if she explained. So she froze. And by the time she wanted to tell the truth, I was already gone. I listened to the audio. I read the messages. I stared at her while she stood across the room with her arms folded, crying silently. "You could have told me," I said, my voice low. "I know," she whispered. "I should have. I messed everything up trying to protect you from something that didn't even happen." I believed her. Against all logic, all pain, I believed her. But belief wasn't enough. Not yet. "I need time," I said. She nodded, wiped her face, and left. For the first time in weeks, I slept. Time passed slowly but with purpose. I started therapy, not because I was broken, but because I needed help understanding the fracture. I wrote about the experience online anonymously, calling it "When Trust Shattered." People related. Some shared their own heartbreaks. A few told me I should never forgive her. Others told me love isn't about never falling, but about choosing each other even after the fall. Emily didn't reach out again. Not for weeks. She gave me space, like I'd asked. But every time my phone buzzed, I secretly hoped it was her. Every couple that walked by holding hands made my chest ache. I missed her laugh, her bad singing in the car, the way she squeezed my hand 3 times to say "I love you." I missed all of her, even the parts that hurt. One evening, I went back to our apartment to collect the last of my things. She wasn't home, but the place was spotless. My favorite mug was washed and waiting on the counter. On the table, a small envelope with my name sat beside a photo of us from the day we moved in together. I opened the letter with shaking hands. It wasn't dramatic, just honest. She wrote about her fear, her guilt, how sorry she was for hurting me even by accident. She didn't ask me to come back, she just said she hoped I healed, whether that journey brought me back to her or not. I cried. I didn't want to, but I did. A week later, I asked her to meet me at the park where we had our first date. She arrived in the same yellow sundress she wore that day, even though the weather was cooler now. We walked without talking for a while. The city buzzed around us, kids laughing, dogs barking, traffic humming. Life moved on, indifferent to the mess we'd made. When we finally sat down on a bench, she spoke first. I don't expect anything, she said. Not anymore. I just wanted you to know the truth. I know, I said. And I believe you. Her eyes watered again, but she didn't let them fall. I still love you, she whispered. I looked at her for a long time. The betrayal I thought I'd felt wasn't betrayal at all. It was fear, confusion, the shock of being human in a moment that didn't come with a manual. I love you too, I said quietly. But if we try again, it has to be different. No secrets. No silences. She nodded. I'll do anything. I reached out and took her hand. She squeezed mine 3 times. I smiled. Maybe this was isn't the perfect love story, but it was ours. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Perfect. Let's continue the story exactly from where we left off. Maybe this wasn't the perfect love story, but it was ours. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Maybe that was enough. But maybe wasn't certainty, it was a seed, and seeds need time. They need space to grow, warmth, water, patience. That's what we decided to give each other, not a rushed return, not a sudden leap into what we used to be, but slow, deliberate rebuilding. A conscious decision to walk together again, step by fragile step. We didn't move back in together right away. I stayed at my friend's for another month. Emily and I saw each other a few times a week, coffees, long walks, quiet dinners where we didn't talk about the past unless it naturally came up. When it did, I asked the questions I had held in too tightly for too long. She didn't deflect or dodge. She answered them all, even the painful ones. Like, why him? Why didn't you tell me sooner? Did you ever wish you had chosen him instead? Her answers were always honest. And sometimes, honesty hurts more than lies. But I needed it. She said she didn't go to him for love, she went to bury something that had been left unburied. Something that kept whispering questions inside her. He had been her first love, her first heartbreak, and in some naive way, a ghost she had tried to outrun. When Daniel messaged her for closure, a part of her didn't want to revisit the past, but another part, the scared, unfinished part, needed to. Not to rekindle anything, but to understand. And once she did, she saw how far she had come. How much she didn't love him anymore. But in trying to protect me, she made a worse mistake, choosing silence. And silence is louder than betrayal. It was a strange time. We were technically still engaged, but neither of us wore the ring. Our families didn't know the full story. Friends whispered, speculated. Some told me to run. Others told me to forgive. In the end, it wasn't about any of them. It was about us. One cold Saturday, she invited me over for dinner. She had cooked everything herself, 3 courses, candles lit, soft jazz playing in the background. When I walked in, it almost felt like the old days. Almost. Halfway through dessert, she took a small box out of a drawer and placed it in front of me. "What's this?" I asked. "I bought this a week before everything happened," she said. "I was going to give it to you the night we finalized our wedding venue." I opened it slowly. Inside was a leather-bound journal. The title embossed on it read, "Reasons I Choose You, Every Day." I opened to the first page. Her handwriting filled it, neat and a little nervous. Day 1, because even when I'm afraid, your love feels like home. Day 2, because you see the worst in me and stay anyway. Day 3, because you don't just listen, you understand. There were 27 entries. 1 for each day before everything broke apart. I didn't say anything for a long time. Just ran my fingers over the pages, feeling every word like a wound and a balm at once. "I wanted to keep writing," she said, her voice trembling. "But I didn't think I had the right anymore." I looked up at her. "Maybe you do," I whispered. "If we write the next pages together." Her breath caught. She nodded. And for the first time in a long time, I saw a real smile, not one born out of apology, or hope, or desperation. Just love. We began again. We didn't erase what had happened, we couldn't. But we layered it with new moments. We rewrote the rhythm of our relationship. Therapy became a part of our routine, both individual and together. We learned to speak with more than words, with presence, with patience, with truth. She blocked Daniel permanently. Deleted his number, removed every old photo, buried the ghost for good. Not because I asked her to, but because she wanted to. She chose to burn the bridge she once stood on, because she finally understood that love doesn't need closure when it's already closed. Our wedding date was pushed, not cancelled. We chose a smaller ceremony. Less guests, less pressure, more meaning. On the morning of our wedding, she sent me a voice message instead of a card. "Today isn't the day I marry a perfect man," she said. "It's the day I marry a man who stayed. Who walked through fire with me and chose not to burn but to build. I love you, not because you're flawless, but because you fight for us when it matters most." I cried when I heard it. And when she walked down the aisle, I didn't see the woman who had once made a mistake. I saw the woman who had owned it. Who had rebuilt trust one brick at a time. Who chose me, fully, finally, freely. We exchanged vows beneath a giant oak tree, with the sky wide open above us and 100 quiet promises between us. Not just promises to stay, but promises to grow, to speak, to heal, and to never forget what we had been through. After the ceremony, as we danced beneath the soft glow of fairy lights, she leaned in and whispered, "Last night may have been unforgettable for him. But today is unforgettable for us." And she was right.